What's going on? Here we go. We are all set and ready to go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, shoot. We are live. We're starting our live session now. Everything's going good. Oh, I need to maybe adjust some of my light. Let me a second. All right, there we go. Welcome, everybody. It is finally here to be your journey here at Creditor Academy. We're just getting started with the live. We have a lot to discuss today in our live, and it's everything about being in the private. I love the private side. I literally woke up this morning. I was just like, oh, what we have to cover today is quite a bit. And there's so much progression on the website. There's a lot of progression on how it is that we're moving within the academy. And so now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break it down in a simple format way so it's easy to understand how to get into the private. For me, when I first started out getting into the private, one of the big things that is what the heck is the private? What is the private all about? And, really what it was is I got my eyes open to the private side during COVID. Dude, COVID-19 was next levels. What happened is that we got scammed into really getting to a situation to where all of our money was being funneled out from our hardworking and small businesses. So imagine this, if you will. It's a huge trap. The trap goes like this. You got a business. You went ahead and got out your personal credit and your life savings in order to invest in what? Your dream. Your dream of what you wanted to start in your business, while you were well intended, a lot of people invested in their business, and actually they did really well. I know a large amount of people, even in my friend group, that had successful $1 million businesses. They took out personal lines of credit and they were doing just fine for themselves. But what ended up happening that actually went ahead and screwed them over was that even though they did everything right, got personal credit, and then got their little nest egg of finances put into play, what happened is that they couldn't prevent something like COVID-19. As soon as COVID came into play, as soon as people started, being told that no more customers can come into your house or place of business, no more customers unless you were essential, and then you were really pushed aside after that. You were pushed aside ever since. And the issue with that's even still true today, is that we never got financial education in our public school system about how to be responsible with our credit lines. This is all about credit. The whole credit game is broken down into this matter of fact. I'm going to break it down in three stages here. Your line of credit is broken down first and foremost by your score. Now, you heard of Experian, Equifax, and like TransUnion. When you have those three bureaus, they're the ones that get to tell you what your funding capability is. You're going to be able to get a house. You're going to be able to get a car. You're going to be able to send your kids to school. You're going to be able to get loans for a business or anything like that. Now, here's the thing. That personal score is so vital to how you're going to succeed in the future, right? I remember when I first got my line of credit when I was going over to college. I went to nursing school. And I remember I took out a huge student loan. And I remember, though, on the first day of school, I went and sat down at my desk, and sitting there on my desk was a credit card application form. That credit card application form says fill out your information because you're going to need a credit card because you're in college, you're broke, you don't have a job, you're doing school full time. You need some credit in order for you to make it through college. You got to eat, you got to go out, you got to pay for gas and all that. So I filled out that credit card application, and now what did I put on my shoulders is I put in this credit, I put in my student loan debt, I got myself credit card debt, and I got one thing I didn't get was no education on how to manage it properly. That's the trap. That is the game that we're in. Ever since this Federal Reserve System came into play and they took all our gold and silver and replaced it with this fiat currency, we ended up having to play the game of the bureaus. And then even the taxing arm of the Federal Reserve, which is the IRS. So not only are you getting hit with huge lines of credit that you have to go ahead and deal with, but then you have the taxing arm to take whatever additional money that you got out so that you can pay more in tax fees. So back to the story though. So I was getting my lines of credit and I spent it. I got 3 cards, 3 credit cards during my time in college. Racked that bad boy up. I just kind of was like, what's that saying when people are just like, oh, spend now, pay later, but then you never pay later. I was like, what the? And I remember I just maxed it out. I had 15 on one card, 18 grand on the second, and then a little over 20 on the third. So now I'm effectively $60K in personal credit cards. Then I got student loans. But what was being told to me was when I was in nursing school, don't worry, Paul Michael, because once you're a nurse, you're going to make some good money. You're going to make it to the top. You're going to be able to work double shifts and hours. You're going to be able to make an extra hourly rate. I even got bonuses for working certain shifts. So in the nursing career, I was like, okay, all about it. But then the credit card companies kept on hitting me with that interest rate. So even after I graduated nursing school and went into my career, and then when I had to pay back all those loans, what ended up happening? You can already guess it. The interest rate was higher than what I could pay. And then by the time I was trying to double down on my payments, in a year's time, I got hit with the taxes. The taxes are a killer, man. They're an absolute killer. And why it's such a huge killer is because as soon as those taxes hit on top of the interest rate, you're even further behind than you thought in the first place. So here I was like, dang, I can't keep up with the personal credit cards. I can't keep up with the student loans. I got all this debt that I've really piled up. How am I going to go ahead and bury myself out of this hole? I said, I know what I'll do. I'll just start a business. I'll start me a business, you know? So I didn't know anything about business credit at the time, especially in the private, which would have saved me to another level. But basically, I said, okay, well, I've already known how to do personal credit cards. I've been working in my field long enough. I was actually able to pay down the cards to a certain point to where I was just like, okay, now I got some available line of credit again because I paid off 1 or 2 cards, right? So now as soon as I paid off the 1 or 2 cards, what ends up happening? I go ahead and get another line of credit now that I have, a little bit of playroom once again. And I said, okay, and I got some savings. So I go and take into the savings. I go ahead and dip into the personal credit. Stupid. I should have never done that. And as soon as I dipped into that, then I went ahead and spent it on my business, which was a home health agency in Seattle. It was called Atlas Home Wellness. I had all the licensing and everything done and put together for that. The licensing in itself was like 15 grand. Plus I had to set up my office space and all of that. Plus, I got to get equipment and gloves and stuff for my employees. And so what ended up happening is after I got all that equipment set up for everybody, then I went in and dipped into my personal lines of credit. I think I started off with, like, after the 15 grand, the second card was like another 20. I had about 40,000 in savings, from various investments that I made. And so now I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to rock and roll. I got a business plan. I'm all about it. Let's make it happen. And so I was going for broke. I was going all out. So then after I spent a large sum, I was actually getting a huge return back. I was getting employees, back office staff, huge clients. I remember one of my biggest clients was like 45 grand. That 45 grand a month, it was a patient that was in 24/7 home health care that they needed. And that 24/7 home health care, 45 grand a month. It was insane. I remember the next big client I had, they were part-time, and that was another 20 grand. I mean, people have money who are in senior home health care like crazy. I couldn't believe it. And I knew about this because I'm a home health nursing, and I remember seeing my agencies like that would contract with these people, and I would like look at how much they were paying, and half the time they're paying out of pocket, which means is they're getting a home equity line of credit, they're getting dipping into their savings. People who are senior citizens, if you don't have long-term care insurance, you're getting every single dollar you can out of it, right? So what happens is as soon as they dipped into that, I just said, I got to get into this industry because I want some of that, especially if you have a long-term care insurance client. It pays out guaranteed every month. There ain't no worry. They're fully covered, right? So 45 grand for one client, I had another 20 grand, and then I had like 6 or 7 clients that were like anywhere between 11 to 18,000, and it was building up. So I had CNAs, I have nurses, I've got a whole bunch of equipment. Everything is going fantastic. Now, I'm talking with my friends at this time. Their businesses be doing really good as well. And what happened with my friends in their business is they were having $1 million companies going all copacetic, like, hey, Paul Michael, you're making your cash, I'm making my cash, so everything's going great there. But what ended up happening that changed everything, and I'll never forget that day when we all woke up and we started watching the news. You remember that day when Donald Trump came out with the big announcement, and he says, there's a global epidemic going on called COVID-19, and we got to get on top of it. Everything's shutting down. And at first you take in that information like, what do you mean everything's shutting down? I remember 9/11? Remember 9/11? Like how much of a struggle it was on 9/11? And like how remember seeing the news and seeing the planes hit and everything like that. It was kind of like that for COVID-19 for me. Kind of the same, like surreal experience watching this happen. And so I call up my friends. Everybody's talking online. Everybody's watching a news station and sharing different things. But the only thing I was kind of thinking about at the time, selfishly, was I was just like, whoa, I'm in the healthcare industry. How is COVID-19 going to affect my home health agency, right? What is this going to mean for my current patients and protocols and Department of Health and all that? So realistically, like, just to be honest with you, in Washington State, where I had my home health agency license, Department of Health didn't really do much. They weren't like, they actually were very lenient. They weren't very oppressive or anything. They had the masks, of course, but honestly, they said, hey, it's still up to you. Like, healthcare is still essential. So they were actually very cooperative for healthcare and home healthcare businesses and the healthcare business industry in general. However, this is where I first got the insight that they were only lenient if you were on the private side. I was a private home health agency. And it's like a light bulb went off when all of a sudden you hear about hospitals, talking about, hey, you better come to work and have a certain card if you want to keep on working. Long-term care centers, specialty nursing facilities. I mean, all of them said, if you don't come in to our environment, then you are going to, or by our rules, then you're going to have no job. Now, that was interesting because when you talk to the Department of Health, like I was talking to the Department of Health, they weren't making such requirements. So I was like, wait a minute. Nobody even knows it. No one has this unique perspective like I did at the time. I was like, you're telling me everybody who's worried about going to a hospital to go to work is being unnecessarily pressured. Literally mass amount of registered nurses are being fired because they had to follow these guidelines. But when you actually talk to the Department of Health, the Department of Health is like, hey, no, everything's fine. Everything's cool. Everything's chill. You can go ahead and do whatever that you want in your business. We're not forcing you to do anything. So COVID-19 was very different if you were operating in the private. And this is what opened me to the private side. I said, dude, there's a different set of rules that people don't know that you can play. And really what's being focused online or on the internet or in the news stations is not being told truthfully. So I go ahead, I'm talking to all my friends. We just got the news of the COVID-19 thing. President just got done speaking. Everybody's on high alert and everybody's worrying about their business. Now, to be in my current situation, my situation was simply this, that, hey, I wasn't kind of concerned because I was in the healthcare industry. It's it's a recession proof. And during that time, it's what Donald Trump and everybody said was a essential business, right? Remember that your favorite place that you would go to play, go drink at the bar or go play at the nightclubs or everything like that. And you go over to them and you're like talking to the front desk people or the owner and say, hey, we got to be shutting things down. And then you were just like, why are things being shut down? And you're like, well, the issue is that we're non-essential. I said, excuse me? And I was like, it was almost like a social credit score, right? I'm non-essential. So I was an essential business, right? So I wasn't affected. No one bothered me. Everybody, if anything, my phone was ringing off the hook. My business took off in the home health industry during COVID. Because everybody wanted still medical professionals, places where, people just wanted to stay home at that point, right? So anyways, I talked to my friends. They're making millions of dollars with their businesses. And I'm talking with them, and I'm like, what's your take on what's going on? And he's just like, Paul Michael, I'm losing clients left and right. I just looked at the news today. I'm deemed non-essential. And I said, what does that mean? And he's just like, and he's like, what that means is that even if I want to stay open, Paul Michael, even if I put an open sign, even if I keep the doors open, play music, sound a trumpet, telling everybody that I'm open and to come in, I'm non-essential, according to the government. It's because the government made that statement that I am non-essential, by essence and effect, I will have no customers. So even though I'm doing everything right, they took out their personal line of credit like I did. They went into their savings in their piggy bank. They invested into their business with a great business plan to where they made millions of dollars. And all of that didn't matter. Because as soon as, not just the United States government, the government across the whole world shut down all businesses from operating, everyone went broke, except for healthcare businesses like mine, other essential businesses, which for some reason was a liquor store. You remember that? You're like, the liquor store is still open. So is the smoke shop. The marijuana place is open too. But my business is not essential for some reason, right? So basically, my friends went broke. They said, I can't afford my employees. I had to shut my entire business down. Now, imagine, if you will, not just my friends, maybe that you people that are hearing this right now, imagine if you had a business that you've been running for 5, 10, or 15 years. You have not worked a 9 to 5 job in that amount of time. And now you get a call from the president on television saying you're non-essential, you can't go to work. And now you lost all your finances, not because you're a bad businessman or woman, but because of circumstance of the COVID-19. You're so broke that you have no choice to go get a 9 to 5 job. What 9 to 5 job are you qualified for? You've been out of the workforce for 5, 10 to 15 years. What quality do you bring, or what qualifications do you bring to a business when you have been working a trade for that business during that time? You're screwed. You're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. And what's worse about it is all that personal credit that you took out, you have to pay back. All the stuff in the piggy bank is gone. It's gone. And all of this is, I'm telling you, because you didn't know about operating in the private. That's what Creditor Academy is all about. Is teaching you to get on the private side, so then if a communist agenda comes your way once again, where they want to shut down the world, you're insulated no matter what. They can't take your money. They can't force you to go back to work in a 9 to 5 job. They can't make you be a part of the rat race, and they can't take away what you've built over years. And this is what we got to teach you about being in the private. There's 3 steps that you need to know in order to accomplish exactly that. Okay? Step number one for being in the private is you got to stop taking on liability. Stop it. Why are you taking on so much liability? Every single day you take on liability when you sign that contract, and then as soon as you sign the contract, what happens? Oh, I have the right to foreclose on your house. I have the right to go ahead and send you the collections. I have the right to go ahead and take away your business. You're contracting into your slavery. Everybody, the biggest liability is you. It's you. You put down your name, your social security number, and all that. So how do you do step one? We have to remove the liability. How do you do that? You need to create an entity separate from yourself. You need to create an entity separate from yourself. So let me explain that. There's 2 types of entities that you can choose from. There's the public and there's the private. There's only 2. And you'll be hearing me say this over and over at Creditor Academy once you're in there. There's only 2 things that you can choose from. So the public side, what does the public side look like? The public side looks like registering your business with the state, okay? I'm not going to go too much into it, but there's a lot of regulations, a lot of rules, a lot of back-end stuff that makes it a requirement for you to abide by their statutory jurisdiction. And what happens is when you put anything into the public, by putting your liability down on paper with the state, you are now liable to their protocols, to their policies and procedures, to their reporting requirements, to their taxes, and so on and so on and so on. And all of that is displayed publicly. If you mess up with the Secretary of State, let me tell you, it is a blemish on your professional career as long as they post that on your website. I got a friend, went into bankruptcy with his business. You go on the internet, look up his business, him or his business name ever, it just the Secretary of State said, okay, you're in bankruptcy. We're going to let everybody and their mother know and shame you into wanting to try to run a business and succeed. And then if you want it removed from the public, you got to go through all these hoops. You got to argue with the state. You got to say, hey, please take this off, and so on and so forth. So that we got to create an entity to not only give out your liability, but also to not fall under the state's unreasonable statutory jurisdiction. So this is where the private side comes in, okay? And the great thing about the private side is that there's two entities that you can use in order to be in the private, operate with a business, not have any liability. And if something like COVID-19 happens again, all of those liabilities now are all on that entity. Now, that's unlike when you're trying to do the same for your public entities. So these two entities over here are called a business trust and a private membership association. The most powerful entities in the private. Honestly, you don't need to use any other entities besides those two, right? I hear a lot of people talk to me, Paul Michael, what about this entity? What about the constitutional whatever they say. No, it's a business trust and a PMA. Now, what is a business trust? Well, to be more specific, it's an unincorporated business trust. Let's break that down a little bit. So, unincorporated means that it's not incorporated. It means it's not registered with the state. Okay? It's separated from the state. It's kind of like, remember when you used to go door to door and like mow lawns for your neighbors? And then when you would mow the lawn for your neighbors and you asked for money for mowing the lawn, you're unincorporated, right? You're just like, hey, give me cash. It's almost kind of like a sole proprietorship, right? So you're unincorporated. You're not registered with the state. The second word is business. What is a business? You know, a lot of people don't know this. Do you know what a business is according to the IRS? A business is an entity that is uncorporated. What are you telling me, Paul Michael? I'm telling you, there is no such thing in reality as an incorporated business. Break that down for me, Paul Michael. I don't quite understand. All right, let me break it down. The IRS has different entities, LLCs, S Corps, C Corps, sole proprietorships, and so on. Nonprofits even. What happens if you're not one of these delegations? What happens if you're not a C Corp, S Corp, LLC, and so on? The IRS then lists you as a business. What? Yes, you're a business if you're unincorporated and you don't have one of those classifications, tax classifications. So when we go to a party and we go and talk to other people and we say, hey, what's your business? We just naturally within our culture say that. You notice like no one goes up to you and says, hey, what's your corporation? Hey, what's your limited liability company, right? Hey, what's your nonprofit? Well, maybe some people would. But anyways, no, people just say, what's your business? Tell me about your business. But in actuality, if you wanted to use the correct terms, a business is actually something that's unincorporated and not within the tax delineation of what is listed there. Okay? So when you hear about an unincorporated business trust, it's flowing. It's flowing, okay? It's unincorporated, it's a business, so it meets the tax classification of the IRS of unincorporated, and it's a trust. What is now a trust, Paul Michael? Well, it's very simple. You know, I like to use an allegory here if I could to make it more simple for you. So let's just take a normal company, right? There's the CEO, there's the board of directors, and then there's the shareholders, right? Simply said, the shareholders and the board of directors are in a partnership with one another. They like, we in business together. You give me the money, I'm going to spend the money to go make the money, right? That's the whole, every company is like that. The shareholders are the investors in the company, and then the board of directors spend the money to make a profit, so then the shareholders can make some return on their investment, and the company then grows from there. All right, so there you got the structure: the CEO, the board of directors, and the shareholders. So now what is it on the trust side? The trust side is a mirror. As so above, so below, right? Right? This is very esoteric, okay? A trust has what's called a grantor a board of trustees and beneficiaries. So what's the relationship between the board of trustees and the beneficiaries? It's not a partnership. It's not a partnership at all, because a trustee is just acting on the best interest of the beneficiary. It's their fiduciary duty to do what's right for the beneficiary, and their relationship is non-reciprocal, meaning that the trustee gets paid to do what they do, to follow fiduciary law in the best interest of the beneficiary, and that's it. They don't profit off of one another. On a company side, with the shareholders and the board of directors, they're in a partnership. So and that's the difference between a trust and a company, right? It's literally a partnership and a non-partnership. Okay, so now let's take this a step deeper. Okay, so what is a business trust? An unincorporated business trust. An unincorporated business trust is where you take a declaration of trust document, you put the grantor, trustee, and beneficiary, you get this bad boy notarized, and now you're in business. Because the notary is the public representative that gives its stamp of approval for you to operate in commerce. It's as simple as that. What is so powerful about this, besides its simplicity, is the types of protections that you get with it as well. Let me show you the types of protections you get. So, here's American jurisprudence. You ever heard of American jurisprudence? American jurisprudence is just, have you ever read the For Dummies series? Have you ever read, how to play Monopoly for dummies, how to do algebra for dummies, how to build a table out of wood for dummies? It's the Dummies series. It's got the dunce guy. It's a yellow and black, and they got a whole series for pretty much everything. American jurisprudence is the For Dummies for case law. That's what it is. Because check it. Every time you see this complicated case law that's inside of here, you just go up and here's the For Dummies, summary. That's all it is. Okay? So now you got that. So I love the For Dummies, which is American jurisprudence, right? Now, this one particularly is the one on business trust. They all have different, categories that they talk about. So you look at the American jurisprudence for dummies, or the business trust for dummies, and this is everything, the case law that backs this unincorporated business trust entity. So, what are the case laws that back it up? It's got 3 of them. It's Constitution, common law, and contract law. Contract law is the highest form of commerce. It's the highest law in commerce, okay? Nothing in commerce is higher than contract law, okay? Constitutional law. The Constitution of the United States. Our founding fathers. Let's go get some Brits, right? And then you got the common law. Where is the common law from? Well, it's common to all nations. That's why business trusts are not only available to be operated here in America, but in 180 other different countries. 180 different countries they are recognized, okay? So, if you register your business with the state, you don't get those protections, right? You don't get the Constitution, the common law. All you get is contract law. And what is the contract law doing? Contracting you with the state. And the state, now you have to play by the state's rules. See how that works? But on this side, with this declaration of trust, you make the contract. And in addition, you are following the case law, which is what the language of this says is backed by. And now you get a bonus. Your bonus is you got 2 extra constitutional law and common law to back you up. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? You're like, oh, Michael, what? I don't get this entity shit, man. Like, can you get to the point to where I make millions of dollars? Like, can you get when do you talk about that? I'm getting there. Just hold on with me for a couple more moments. I'm leading this into how you can get huge lines of credit and cash. How you can live the dream and the life you always wanted to live. How money and credit is truly unlimited when you're in the private. But you need to know the basics. You need to know the first 3 things. If you don't know the first 3 things, you can't go to a bank and say, open up the vault. I tell the bankers all the time, open up the vault. I'm ready. Let me go in. And they open it for me every time. And I'm telling you, by these 3 things, this is how I do it. Okay? So what's the final thing I want to say about this entity, about business trust? This becomes your straw man. You see, when you sign your social security number, you are using what's called your corporate or federal straw man. You ever heard that before? For some of you, this might be the first time. For some of you, you've been in this movement long enough. You're like, I know exactly where you're going with this, Paul Michael. I hear what you're saying. So for those that know what I'm talking about, follow me on this. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, is the banks, the universities, the car loan companies, the utility companies, the phone bill companies, your personal lines of credit cards from Chase, from American Express, and so on, are utilizing your identity in the form of a business. That's what they're doing. They're using your information that you provide in order to treat you like a business. Now, this goes very deep. I want to go high level with you right now. This goes very deep. But once you realize that this entire credit game and system, ever since they took our gold and silver from America and put us on this debt slave system and made an enforcement agency out of the IRS, they've positioned us to treat us like chattel, to enslave us. If you want to get out of this enslavement, you have to listen to very clearly how the game is played so you can get out of it. You are killing yourself with personal liability by signing your name and social security number on everything. You're so addicted to it. And the reason why is because no one taught you otherwise. When you went into your elementary school, to your former years of high school, into college, they say, sign your name to everything. You take on all the liability from here for the rest of your life. So you know nothing different besides to put your personal expense and liability all on your shoulders. What I'm trying to teach you is that when you go into the private, you can get out of that. You can create your own straw man, get your own line of credit, be able to sign contracts in something else's name and numbers to remove that liability and get you access to the vault at the bank, okay? But first, you need to create that entity. So the business trust becomes your straw man. Does this make sense so far? I hope it does. So next, what's next? Now, let's talk about the second step. All right, Paul Michael, I got my business trust. Now what? I did it. I woke up. I got it notarized. What now? What am I? And I got myself a bank account with it, which, by the way, you can get bank accounts with these. You can go into any bank, show them your business trust, and they'll accept it, right? So, Paul Michael, now what do I do? What's step 2 of this game? Now, step 2 of this game is you need to be able to accept money in the modern age. The reason why the private, when people and other gurus preach about the private side, why the private is so unpopular is not because you get all these liability benefits. It's not unpopular because of all the truth that's behind it and all the power behind it. The reason why it's unpopular is because you feel like you got to be a hermit. You feel like you got to live under a rock. You feel like you got to honestly, continuously, and nonstop do business under the table. Hey, I'm going to come over. I got this business, unincorporated business trust, and I'm going to come up. You go back to the times when you're mowing lawns as a kid. When you were just like, hey, I'll mow your lawn for $20. Okay. I'm like, okay, you said debit or credit card? No, it's got to be cash, right? It's got to be cash. And this is where the private movement loses its steam. Because as much as we want to say about it, you're just like, listen, we live in a day and an age where cash and checks it's just not a thing anymore. More people in today's age and society use digital currency more than ever. And forget about crypto. Crypto is coming in the next big wave, right? But the digital age is already here. The digital age is here to stay. And if anything, it's going to grow. And especially with Gen Z, Gen X, Gen whatever, they're going to be like, why would I ever carry cash? Because they live in a world where everything's on card and credit, right? So you have this business trust all set up, and now you're like, okay, I want to do PayPal. I want to do Stripe. I want to do Clover. I want to do Square. I want to do Wave Accounting. All these PSPs, these are personal service providers, okay? And you go bring up and you say, hey, I want to transact. I got me a business. And then the PSPs tell you, okay, great. Give me your paperwork that you registered with the state to get incorporated, and I'd be so happy to give you access to our platform. Well, I've got an unincorporated business trust. Stop right there. All of those all those PSPs are going to say, sorry, we don't do business with people like you. We don't do business with you. We want nothing to do with you. And you're like, wait a minute, why? I'm an honest business. I want to do this. And he's like, no. If you're not in the public and you're trying to operate in the private, that means we have no control over you. That means if we want to get access to your funds and hold you liable and put you on the match list, then we can't do that if you're in the private. They want control over you. And this is where the web goes deep. Because now you got this connection, government and software companies, right? How many of you are, you already know that the simulation between Google and the government, Facebook and the government. Now I'm just bringing to your attention that there's a deeper conspiracy with the payment service providers. And it's their duty and responsibility to try to keep you from accessing the current latest software and technology for you to transact debit and credit cards. Okay? So step number 2 is we need to get you what's called a private merchant account. I want you to go to www.creditoracademy.com to really learn in depth what we do here at the Academy. Because we're not only education, but we're also a service to get everybody. It's our mission to get everybody into the private. Because once you go into the private, you'll never go back. You'll never go back. You'll swear it to everybody that you meet. It'll be such an epiphany for you. And honestly, you'll be addicted to operating in the private because you'll know no other way. You just need to know what the basics are. So private merchant processing is a service that we provide. I've been building banker relationships for quite some time, ever since I started Creditor Academy. And you know, the point that I'm at now is the fact that, hey, you know, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. You ever heard that before? It's my father tells me that all the time when I was growing up. So in this case, it was about who you know. And I knew I needed a Bankers Connect that really believed in the private and was willing, along with a merchant processor, which are two different entities that work together for merchant accounts, I needed those two to both be in partnership with one another, because that's how they can only be in business. And I needed both the bank and the merchant processor to accept these business trusts. Because as soon as I am able to get a bank and a merchant processor to accept business trusts for credit card and debit card payments, the game is over. You now are in the most private, protected situation with your business trust, and you're able to accept money in the modern age. And this is why step number 2 is so important. Here at Creditor Academy, when you become a member, we give you everything that you need for the unincorporated business trust. We give you everything that you need for the private merchant services. Those two things, they're included with your membership. We just decreased our membership amount from where it was before for a limited time, because we're getting so many people that want to get into Creditor Academy that we wanted to open up the doors so everybody can get into the private. As soon as you get into the private side, you're going to be like, forget every other way or every other guru that tried to tell me how to live free and get access to funding really fast. This is the way to do it. You were just never told. You weren't taught in school. You weren't talked about financial responsibility. So now you got step number 2. The private merchant account is what we get you set up with. So now you have your entity that keeps you insulated, protected, your own straw man. And now you got a merchant account so you can accept payments in the modern age. So now, Paul Michael, what's the third step? The third step is to get the vault open at the bank. And this is how I do it. I'm literally spitting game at you guys. If you like what I'm saying, go into the chat. Let me know if you're understanding what I'm saying right now, or if I'm speaking over your head at the moment. Give me a little bit of feedback on this one. And actually, let me look inside the chats right now. What's up, chat? What's up, chat? Let me see, chat. If I had an LLC, doesn't that keep the IRS from taking my house? No. I mean, it depends if you're paying your mortgages. Now, if you want to pay off your mortgage in a very short period amount of time, you can do that. It's very simple. It's the third step I'm about to explain. You can pay off your house. You can pay off your car. You'll never have a money problem for the rest of your life. And it's such common sense, but just no one has shook you to just tell you what this is. And it's just always this word salad with a bunch of these YouTubers. If my company has unpaid taxes. Yeah, if you have unpaid taxes, I'll talk about taxes. I go through, at Creditor Academy, we have a whole entire breakdown of taxes with companies and stuff like that. And honestly, to get out of taxes with your companies is so easy. It's so simple. Because like I said, there's another entity called the Private Membership Association. That's a nonprofit. You own the nonprofit, you own the for-profit. Guess what? The for-profit company is going to owe taxes at the end of the year. What do you think the company should do? What do you think the company should do? I'll tell you what you can do. And I even put it inside of your template. Inside of here that you're able to do this under the power of the trustees. You donate to the nonprofit. Done. Hey, I was going to pay taxes on the profit I was about to make until I donated to a nonprofit. It's like when rich people, when you ever talk to rich people and rich people say, he's like, wow, you're Bill Gates is a perfect example. He says, are you going to leave your fortune to your kids? No, I'm not. I'm not going to leave them a dime. And you're like, you're Bill Gates. You're not going to leave your kids anything? No, I'm going to give it all to the nonprofit when I pass away. Doesn't that sound philanthropic? Doesn't it sound like Bill Gates is such a nice guy? But really, what did he just tell you? If you got ears to hear and eyes to see, you know what he just gave you the answer. The answer is that his kids own the nonprofit. That's all it means. They own the nonprofit. They're going to pay themselves for the nonprofit whatever wages that they want for the rest of their lives. And they can do with the money what they want because the nonprofit is a trust. The nonprofit that Bill Gates has is a business trust. And his kids are either going to be the trustees or the beneficiaries of it, right? So, yeah, absolutely. So, what's the third and final step to open up the vault? Here it is. Every bank has underwriting requirements, okay? These requirements are very simple, but they have underwriting requirements in order to extend you lines of credit. So, think of yourself right now. If you want a personal line of credit, what do you have to do? You have to make sure you have a low amount of debt. You got to get, build up your credit score. You got to make your payments early or on time. All this basic stuff about personal credit, right? It's the exact same logic with business credit, okay? But here's the difference. It's a key difference here. Personal credit has a limitation to it. In personal credit, you can only get maybe $50,000, $80,000 or a couple $100,000 because the banks are only going to lend out to you when they measure what your personal expenses and needs are, right? What are your personal expenses and needs? You need a house for your family and the dog. You need to have 1 to 2 vehicles. You need to have gas and money for gas and groceries, and to send the kids to private school. No bank wants you to come in to ask for $500,000 to $1 million. Because as soon as you do that, what's the bank going to do? They're going to look you straight in the eye and be like, what the hell do you need $500,000 to $1 million for? And then you're going to be like, I want to spend it on a business. I was like, well, then you need business credit. You don't need personal credit, you need business credit. And the reason why is because businesses can get higher lines of credit for the simple fact that they have more needs. They have employees to pay for, they have buildings to pay for, they have product to keep in storage, and marketing costs, and so on and so on. So there's a reason that a business needs that level of line of credit. So this is how I go into the vault, right? So I sit down with the banker and I was like, all right, what's your underwriting requirements? I want you to, do you have a business email? Yeah. Do you have a website? Yeah. Do you have a business address? Yeah. And then they just go through the rest of the stuff in the underwriting. And he's like, do you have a merchant account? Yeah, I got a merchant account. And I was like, okay, let me see your business trust and stuff like that. They check it out, right? Once you're this is what's called credit optimization. As soon as your profile is optimized for credit, you are now able to get unlimited credit. It's that simple. You follow the underwriting requirements, and now you're good to go. Now here's what you're going to hear online. I'm gonna give you a warning, because now I'm talking about business credit, but there's 2 different types of business credit. There's that in the public and that in the private. It's a very distinct difference, okay? Well, if you go to any other business credit guru, I don't care which one you listen to. I don't care. Choose anyone at all. I don't care. Choose the most popular person on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and so on, right? Anybody talking about business credit. I would say the majority of them, almost every single one, is going to tell you to register with the state. Every single one of them is going to tell you to register with the state, with your business, okay? This is the first mistake, okay? The second thing that they're going to do is they're going to tell you to use your personal credit scores to access business credit funding. What a freaking oxymoron, right? I thought I was trying to separate liability. Isn't personal credit a liability to you? Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. But yet, the majority of people will just say, oh, to get you the business card, you're using business credit. No, it's not. It's being backed by the same bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, in order for you to even get that card in the first place. you're screwed. You're screwed. Every business credit guru talks about that. Or not all, but most. I'll say that. I shouldn't say all. I won't say all. Not all, but most. So you go to now you're here at Creditor Academy. What our intention is to teach you how to use the correct credit bureaus. There's 5 of them in total. Okay, 5 business credit bureaus. I would say 3 of them are aggregators, more or less, but there's that. So there's Dun and Bradstreet. There's Experian Business, Equifax Business, the FSBE, and then finally the I'm forgetting the name of the last one. They all have weird names. They all have weird names. PayNet. So you got PayNet, Equifax Business, Experian Business, Dun & Bradstreet, and the SBFE, which is the Small Business Finance Exchange. Okay? So these are the 5 business credit bureaus. Okay? You need to access and utilize these 5 bureaus in order for you to put it on to your private entity. Now, how do you do that? You got to go in what's called a tier system. There's a 3-tier system you have to do. Okay, they're not going to teach you this with your personal credit, game, because they don't want to get you into the into this level of knowledge. And the reason why they don't want you to go to this level of knowledge is because they want to churn and burn you. Okay. Most companies who teach on business credit are trying to sell you something. What are they trying to sell you? They're trying to sell you an aged corporation. An aged corporation. And I remember when I was first getting into business credit and learning about it and learning for so many gurus, and they were just like, yeah, Paul Michael, fix your personal credit score, get a bunch of business credit cards, and attach it to an aged corporation. And then you used to ask, where do I get an aged corporation? Oh, you get it from me. Oh, really? Oh, that's convenient. And then I'm like, how much is it? 10 grand. I'm like, $10,000? What? And he's like, yeah, $10,000. I'm like, $10,000 for an aged corp? And he's like, absolutely, I'll sell it to you today. So then you buy this aged corporation because you think the banks are stupid, right? You just think, oh, the banks are going to love it because it's got 3 to 5 years worth of history, maybe even more. Oh, look, it's got $1 million worth of, transactions between it and blah, 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 blah. And guess what? You bring that aged corporation over to the bank and you say, hey, I got the aged corp and my business personal credit is great. I want to get lines of business credit. And then the banker is going to say this, okay, we'll give you 50,000, we'll give you 100,000 or whatever, right? Well, what about $1 million? Because this aged corporation, And he's like, I don't care about that. Because the aged corporation didn't build business credit like I'm going to teach you. What it did is it took on the liabilities, or it did a promissory note within another company for a payback or an exchangement. This happens all the time in business. Let's say Paul Michael, I want $200,000 from you. Give me $200,000, Paul Michael. Yeah, put it in my pocket, man. And I was like, are you going to repay me? Yes, I will. Okay, let's do a promissory note that you're going to pay me back on a fee schedule. Okay, so we do the promissory note and the fee schedule, and now I could go to the bank with that promissory note and say, hey, look, this guy owes me, or this woman owes me $200,000 that I lent her. So I'm going to use this as collateral to get another loan from the bank, right? That's all it is. So now you go to the bank with your aged corp and all this promissory note collateral that you got. And you say to the bank, why not? Look at this collateral. It says $100 million or whatever it is, or $1 million, and blah, blah, blah. And the bank's like, that's just a piece of paper. None of that is real. Are you receiving that money? No. Oftentimes when you buy an H Corp, you got to be careful. There might be a lot of debt attached to that H Corporation, right? So, things to think about. So anyways, when I'm talking about putting you into the private, into utilizing business credit, I'm not here to sell you an H Corporation. What I'm here to do is give you proper education to build up your credit profile fast on your private entity, on your business trust. So then when you walk into the bank and present yourself properly and you put in the work to build the credit onto this private entity, the banker's just going to open up the vault. He's going to open up the vault. And you won't have to do your personal line of credit. Now, there's no such thing as not taking out a personal guarantee. Okay? No matter what, there's a personal guarantee when you're doing business credit. But what kind of personal guarantee is it? Are you personally guaranteeing it? Or is the business personally guaranteeing it? Which one is it? So when you open up the vault to get the millions of dollars out of the account, and the banker is like, go ahead, take out the sacks of money. Are you going to pull out that Santa sack of money and then go in and say, are you going to go in with that sack of inside that sack of money and you're going to have that personal liability for yourself? Or are you going to have it on the business? That's what you have to determine. That's the huge difference between all of this. And this is why I don't want to have you utilize your personal credit in order for that to happen. So how do we do that? What you got to do is you got to follow essentially the correct model here when building business credit. The first thing that you got to do is you got to meet their underwriting requirements. You have to have a merchant account, and you have to have a private entity. After that, you're smooth sailing from there. After that, you meet their underwriting requirements. You start applying for credit cards. You start off small. You start with vendor cards. Then you go into bank cards. Then you go into credit union cards. Okay? Soon as you get those cards and build that line of credit, now you can go to the bank and say, give me the money, show it to me. And then you're set to go from there. This can take 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 months. You get anywhere between 150 and 250 grand in 3 to 4 months. Okay? Now we go into the discussion, what can I utilize that 250 grand for, Paul Michael? And let me tell you what you can use it for. And this is going back to the person that was in the chat that was asking me about just dealing with finances. How do I pay for a house? How can I get a car? How can I use this business credit to really fund everything in my life? And I'm here to tell you how to do it. So, I had to switch up the color real quick. There we go. So, how you do it? All you have to do is really commit to one thing. One thing that you have to commit to have everything to be paid for your heart's desire is you got to commit to what's called your vision. Your vision. There's nothing more important than your vision. Your vision is the cornerstone by which that you operate in commerce for the rest of your life. It's your motivation factor to get out of bed every morning. Your vision is what the credit funds. And if you do not have vision about what it is that you want to do for yourself and your community, then you're never going to get the available amount of credit that you possibly can. Okay? And you have to be very passionate about your vision. And let me tell you why. A lot of you who are working a full-time job, 9 to 5. Go ahead and put in the chat. I'm working 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5. If you got that 9 to 5 job, you're like, Paul Michael, I want to get out. I'm working 9 to 5. And if you want to get out of the 9 to 5, this is how you do it, okay? You're going to have a big meeting with your banker. It's going to be one meeting, one shot. You're going to be building this business credit for the last 3-4 months, and you're going to ask them for $250,000. It's going to be the most important bankers meeting you've had yet. And you're going to sit down with the banker, and you're going to tell them, I want $250,000. And the banker is going to ask why. Okay? You need to be able to communicate what your vision is clearly and passionately, and what your plan is. Okay? And what's going to happen is that the banker is going to make their determination based upon one thing, and that is your commitment. Based upon your commitment. So if your commitment is anything less than 100%, then you're not going to get it. Now, you might be asking yourself the question, well, Paul Michael, I mean, it's great to get the $250,000, but the issue is that I got personal expenses I still got to pay for. It's hard for me to commit to anything 100% when I still have personal responsibility for a lot of the bills that I have. It's hard for me to commit when I have limited funding and I can only spend it on business credit. Give me 1 second. That light was getting bright. So, how do you get around it? So, when you're sitting down with the banker, what you're going to do is that you're going to be, this is a very honest question. This is a lot of things that a lot of people deal with, is how do I talk to the banker and convey to them that I'm ready for this level of funding? And really, what you got to do is you just simply tell them, hey, listen, banker, I'm willing to take on the $250,000 and work 40, 50, 60 hours a week on it, but on the contingency that I can utilize this credit for my personal and business expenses. Now, does that seem reasonable? Does that seem reasonable? Absolutely, that's reasonable. That's very reasonable. You need to be not only compensated for your time when you're getting the bank's money, right? But also, you need to pay for your personal expenses. And this is how people live a entirely new life. This is how people don't have any financial burden when they're operating in the private. Because when you utilize the business credit on the private entity, you have no liability. It's done. And now you can spend it on your personal expenses and your business expenses. Now, I want you to think about how much you make a year right now, okay? In order to pay for your rent, your mortgage, your expenses, and all that. You take the $250,000 in like the 3 to 4 month time frame that you get it. You take the $250,000 and right off the cap or right off the top, you take what you need for your personal expenses for the year, okay? That's yours, okay? It's fine. The rest of it is like going to a casino. You're going to go to the casino with the rest. Let's say you need $100,000 for the year, in personal expenses. All right, you got $150,000 left over. You're going to the casino. You're betting it all on black or red. I love roulette. It's a 50-50, right? You take the 150, you're betting on black or red. Now, what do I mean when I say black or red? I mean, it's your vision, right? It's what you want to do. It's what you want to create for yourself, your family, and your community, okay? So when I say black or red, I mean you're betting on yourself, okay? And then when you bet on yourself, you never lose. You never lose when you bet on yourself. So that's what I'm here to tell you, is that if you bet on yourself in this private movement, you're going to win. Now you might be saying, Paul Michael, what happens if it doesn't work out that way? What happens if I bet on what it is that I wanted to accomplish, and it really just didn't work out. It didn't. I ended up losing everything, because that happens in business. You make an investment on something, and it doesn't work out. So what do, right? And this is why I'm telling you the liability is all on this now. It's not on you. You can restart over, and next 4 months get another 150 to 250,000, and use that line of credit to pay for your personal and your business expenses all over again. This is how Elon Musk does it. A lot of people are wondering, how does Elon Musk get out of paying taxes? He pays himself in debt for all of his personal expenses, and he puts it back on his investments in stock, which is Tesla. And then if he needs more money, he'll go to the bank and ask for more money. But then he just makes payment on the debt that he's taken out. So he's not making an income, he's paying himself with debt. And that's what I'm just teaching you the same thing. You need to learn to stop paying yourself with a paycheck, start learning how to pay yourself with debt. If you learn how to pay yourself with debt, you'll truly be unlimited. And that's the matrix of your mind. That's the matrix of today's society, is people are trying to get paychecks from somebody determining our worth, what our hourly rate or salary rate is worth on a month to month. And they base that based off of our education or our experience or combined, right? Don't do that. What's a bank doing? A bank's giving you $250K not by your experience, not by your education, but the fact that it's a business decision. And the business decision from the bank is in its own self-best interest. Because the bank's making money lending money. It's a lending institution. It's not a place where you hold your money to keep it safe. It's a lending institution. So go to the lending institution, ask them for money, and then pay yourself with debt, and then you're out of the matrix, man. You see, so many people who try to get into the private movement think that the matrix is debt. No. To get out of the matrix, you have to know the game, and the name of the game is to know how to use debt for anything that you want. And to take risks. You got to take risks in life. If you're not taking risks, I would also say you're not living, right? It's when we get comfortable. I'm comfortable working a 9-to-5 job. I'm comfortable being an employee. I'm comfortable not being independent, right? That was a really huge eye-opener for me when I was told that. They said, I remember I had a colleague of mine, and I was like, Paul Michael, are you a dependent? And I said, no, I'm independent. And I said, how do you know you're independent, Paul Michael? And he's like, I'm independent because I'm not dependent on my parents. And it's like, oh, so your parents don't give you money for your place to live, or they don't pay money for the house that you live in? And I said, yeah, that's correct. Then he's like, then who does do that? Oh, that's my job, my 9-to-5 job over at the specialty nursing facility or my home health agency or the hospital that I'm working at. Oh, so you're dependent on them. I'm not dependent on them. No way. Well, what would happen if they stopped paying you? Well, then I would be homeless. And he was like, then you're dependent on them. What if all of the hospital systems, all the long-term care centers, all the special nursing facilities, all of the home health agencies decide not to hire you? What if all of the medical system kicked you out? What would you be doing? Well, I'd be doing anything but the medical field. And how much would that change your life, Paul Michael? I said, well, I went to nursing school, so that would change everything. That means that my education was for nothing. That means all those years of experience that I have is for nothing. That means that all those patients that I saw and the passion that I had in this industry is now gone just like that. And you know what that's tied up in? That's tied up into one word: a license. A license. If you don't have a license for something, you don't get the privilege to utilize that benefit, right? And that's what this is. That's the whole public system. That's how they control you. They get you addicted to an employee mindset to work a 9-to-5 job. They extend you a license, which is a special permission slip to work in the field of your choice, which they call your passion. Remember when mom and dad said, hey, follow your passion, follow your dreams. That was that's what really they were saying, follow your passion in the matrix, right? So you need to get out of that. You need, hold on one second. Let me get my thing loading here. Okay, so the first thing that you got to do is the first stage is your employment. Your employment is where you use your time, your energy for somebody else's dream. The second stage is called self-employment, where you use your own time, your own energy for your own and your own money for your dream. The third stage to get out of the matrix is called an entrepreneur. You utilize other people's time and energy, your own money for your dream. And the fourth stage, the final stage to get out of the matrix and to be truly independent, is to use other people's time and energy, other people's money for your dream. And that's called a capitalist. A capitalist is the highest form of independence in the United States. A capitalist is someone who's truly unlimited. And at Creditor Academy, we're teaching you how to be a sovereign capitalist, how to be able to utilize entities that you control to utilize the credit system so then you can get access to unlimited funding. This is a game changer when you do it in the private versus registering your business with the state. But you got to do the 3 steps. Step number 1 is get your unincorporated business trust. Step number 2 is you got to get your private merchant account. So then you can transact money in the modern age, debit cards, credit cards, automatic subscriptions, and so on. Then the third and final stage of this is for you to get access to your credit from the banks. And that's really just building up not your personal credit profile for your business credit, but it's building upon the 5 business credit bureaus in order for this entity to get access to that level of funding. Okay? So this is it. This is everything that you need to know about getting yourself started and put into the private. It's a journey for not for the weak of heart, you know. So it is a lot. It is a lot. Let me see here. And in order for you to be successful, you have to have the determination to reach your vision. If you don't have the passion for your vision, then you're never going to finish these 3 steps. But we want to help you here at Creditor Academy. I'm so motivated for people who want to follow their passions and dreams. So if you want to come to Creditor Academy and learn the 3 steps, we provide you the unincorporated business trust. We provide you the merchant account services, and we show you step by step how to optimize the credit profile. Go to www.creditoracademy.com and become a member today. All of that is included with your membership, and including on our platform, we have what's called premium courses at Creditor Academy. Our premium courses are courses that are really going super in deep. We have our Become Private program. I love Become Private. This is like if you want to go outside business and you want to deal with you personal and you want to separate yourself entirely from the straw man, we have Become Private, and we have a history lesson on how our country became a debt slave system called Sovereignty 101. Then we have what's another premium course called Operate Private. Operate Private has everything to do with these entities. A lot of you might have questions about taxes or putting real estate inside of these business trusts or automobiles and other accounts and stuff like that. How to fill out the form properly, how to manage it continuously. Operate Private is everything that you need to know about these private entity structures. The next thing that you have is financial freedom. Financial freedom we deal with in three ways. For our financial freedom course, our premium course, we do debt discharge. We have gotten over $3.5 million discharged from people's personal credit. That personal credit is huge in knowing how to assert your rights and get your sovereignty there. If you're struggling right now with your personal credit, you need to go to www.creditoracademy.com and take our course called I Want Remedy Now. It's in our financial freedom course. I Want Remedy Now is our #1 course at Creditor Academy. No doubt. There are thousands of people that are already taking those courses. And what's great about I Want Remedy Now and all the courses here at the Academy is our standard on how we put the courses together. All the courses were put together by my staff. I have 93 full-time staff, and what we did is with my instructional designers, what their passion is to put your learning journey in order and by step. You need not to just be sold another template. You don't need someone to sell you a book anymore. You don't need a guru that's only there to show you pre-recorded materials that they put together years ago and did not update. What you need is the latest, most informative information for you to become free financially, and you need to have it presented at the level of a university. And no one has done that for the business credit, personal credit, for setting up private entities, and so on. So us at Creditor Academy, we really sunk into education. All of our courses and our software system itself is proprietary. We've developed our own online learning platform called an LMS, a learning management system. We put together our own course material and outline and schedule. We put together all of the video instructionals as well. And the great thing about this is that you can go at your own pace. And the great thing also about our program is we give you what's called a creditor card with every membership. Your creditor card you can spend on our platform to unlock premium courses. Your creditor card as a part of your membership is what gets you access to Masterclass to get you into the private. Everything inside of the Academy was very well put together. My team did a phenomenal job, and I'm really excited about the results that people are getting because it's so step by step. But most importantly, besides the step by step, besides the modules, besides my supportive staff that's here to help onboard you, and besides the huge following that we have on multiple social media channels, the most important thing about what's happening at Creditor Academy is our community. Our community is so strong and so engaged. And every day, Monday through Friday, we have a live masterclass where all we're focused on is the 3 steps in getting you into the private, right? And so many people have gotten to the private side now that it's now each one is teaching one. And this movement is moving fast. And the word is spreading on why the private is so important and life-changing. And I'm excited to have you a part of our masterclass. Go to www.creditoracademy.com. Sign up for our membership. It's at a discount right now. It's at an absolute discount right now. And I'd be so excited to not only have you as a part of our community, but a part of the truth movement. So many people are still captured in the matrix. So many people are still working that 9-to-5 hustle and grind job, and they feel like that they're trapped, that they can't get out. And what's super hard about that is so many people are well-meaning. So many people saved up their finances and built up their personal credit and invested inside of their dream. If you ever watch Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares, you know what I'm talking about, right? How many of those restaurants that he ends up trying to fix that end up failing over and over, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? And then they fail and they go out of business, and then what happens? They've been running that restaurant for the last 10 years. Now that they've been running that restaurant for 10 years, now they got to go back into the workforce with what experience and what knowledge? You know? So the only thing that they can do is continue to be an entrepreneur or a capitalist in the end of it. But if you utilize your personal credit and all of this money in your piggy and savings account, you're screwed. And the reason why is because you weren't taught the credit game. You weren't taught to utilize these entities to put all the burden on. You weren't taught how to get the bank to open up the vault so you can get access to unlimited credit for these entities and use it for your business and personal expenses. And personal. I want to really make that clear. You don't pay yourself for the rest of your life when you're in business. You will not pay yourself with cash. You will not ask somebody else to pay you with cash so you can pay for your bills. You're going to pay yourself with debt. You're going to pay yourself with credit, and it's going to come from this private entity right here. This private entity, you're going to be like, hey, Mr. Private Entity, how are you? How much money you got? I got 250 grand. Can I have 100 of that? What do you think the entity is going to say that you control? Is it going to say no? Yeah, you can have 100 grand. But the entity needs to make good financial investments itself, right? Because we got to pay back the bank. So now that your personal expenses are taken care of for, spend the other 150,000 on your dream and bet on it big. And if you get paid back big and you go to the bank and you say, hey, banker, you gave me 150 grand to play with, guess what? Bam, 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 bam. Racks on racks on racks on racks. Right? Now the bank is like, oh, we in business now. It's like the mafia. It's literally like you seen those Al Pacino movies? They go to the mafia. They give you a job, right? And they say, hey, boss, what's the job? You're eating a cannoli and you're like, boss, I got you. You give me the job, consider it done. And so the boss, mafia man, gives you the job. You go do the hit or the deal or whatever, and you come back. And you come back with a pile of money. You give it to the mob boss, right? And then the mob boss takes a big chunk of that and kicks you some, right? Right? Now, here's the difference between the bank and the mob boss. Okay? The bank, when you bring back the pile of money, they only want to take out of that pile of money what you owe them. That's it. You get to keep the rest. And that's the big part of that. That's the big part of that. Does that make sense, chat? Is what I'm saying making sense? Is what I'm saying making sense? I need to get, here's some feedback on this. If I'm speaking the truth and you're understanding what I'm saying, let me know about this, okay? Let me see. Good. All right, great to see you guys. I'm streaming on like 4 other spots right now, so I'm seeing my chat light up like a Christmas tree right now. Okay, so great. Yes. Let me see. Okay, one question is, okay, got you. Yeah, so someone's asking, hey, if I have my credit done, if I have my credit for me personally, what can or can I not spend it on? You can spend it on whatever you want. You can spend it on whatever you want. You can spend it on a car, right? So let me tell you the difference between getting $100,000 from your business credit than it is going to get a car from a dealership with your personal credit. Okay, when you get an automobile with your personal credit, what ends up happening is that the automobile becomes collateralized. Okay, when the automobile becomes collateralized, it means also the majority, if not the entire time, that you don't hold the title. It's usually the lender that holds the title. So the lender collateralized the car and is holding the title. So how do you get out of that situation? How do you get the title clean and clear? And how do you not have the car collateralized? It's very simple. Super simple. You say, hey, let me get $100,000 from your own business, for your own business trust, and say, hey, buddy, can I get $100K? I'm trying to buy a $40,000 car. Your business credit is like, sure, here's $40,000. You go over and you meet with the car dealership and you say, hey, I want this $40,000 car. And he says, how will you be paying? And you say, in cash or in credit, essentially. Or it's in cash and credit. Because you could do a balance transfer or you could just pay the whole thing off, right? So now you just swipe the card. Now the full $40,000 balance is paid. But it's paid as a business expense, not an auto loan. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's paid as a business expense, not an auto loan. Auto loan means collateralization and that you don't get the title. This means that nothing was collateralized. Okay? As long as nothing has been collateralized, you get to keep the car free and clear. Well, what happens if I can't pay it back, Paul Michael, the $40,000? Well, put this bad boy in the shredder. You just put the whole business trust in the shredder. And you're like, isn't that dishonest, Paul Michael? No, that's business. Businesses, you know what the attrition rate of business is? Like new business owners? It's like 70% or 60% maybe. Okay, I'll be a little bit more conservative, right? So it's like 60% of new businesses fail within the first 5 years or something like that, right? So that happens in business. Sometimes you can't make your payments. What happens if you don't make your payments? You go out of business. But here's the advantage. They're not going to take the car. The car is yours. Well, what about all the credit card debt? And I saw that's all on this bad boy, not on you. That's the benefit of the private. It's not on you personally. Okay? Soon as you get this bad boy, it's over with. It's done. You don't have to worry anymore. Go drive the car. Shoot, when you buy the car, you know what you should do immediately? Put it in another business trust separate from this. Don't put the car inside this business trust because now it becomes collateralized, right? What you do is you create another business trust, you pay it with the credit, and then you tell that car dealership, hey, put The owner of this vehicle is this entity over here. And that's the thing about the private. You could cross multiply as much as you want. Much as you want. And you know what? You end up coming stronger the second time you come around. I know a gentleman who had a construction business. You know how his construction equipment was so expensive. So what he did is he took business credit. He did his private entity. He got $500,000 in the private. Astounding guy. Good friends with him. Very good friend. Got $500,000, bought all of these tools, equipment, these Bobcat machines and stuff like that. None of it was collateralized. He bought it all secondhand, right? So it was just swiping up credit cards left and right. Nothing collateralized. Well, anyways, he really tried to do good with his operations, right? He tried to do it. COVID-19 happened, though. COVID-19 happened. And they said to the construction industry, you're not essential. Stop building. And he stopped building. And just like so many other small businesses, medium-sized businesses, he went out of business in a matter of 6 months. Couldn't float it. So he shut down operations. Got everything. So now he's sitting there with all this construction equipment, all this stuff, and he's sitting there and he's just like, what am I going to do? You know what he did? He didn't sit there and wallow. He didn't sit there in grief. What he did is he just started a new private entity. And with his new private entity that he established, it was the same thing, another construction business, built up the credit, went to the bank to ask for $250,000 in loans. Only this time, that $250,000, when he got it, he didn't have to spend it to buy tools and equipment this time around. He already had the tools and the equipment from the last business that failed. He didn't get rid of it. And none of it was collateralized, so no one came to collect it. So now he's debt-free. He's brand new business. He's starting out with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And he has all of his same business connects that he had before. And he's utilizing some of that debt for his personal expenses to get him through COVID. And he says, Paul Michael, as soon as this is over and we're allowed to go back to work, let me tell you, I am going to be way better off than I was before. And he is. He absolutely is. Oh, multi-millionaire. And I love telling that story because it's so true. It's so true and it's so powerful when you know how to operate. So it is a big one. All right, let me look into the chat here. Oh, interesting. I don't have any AI on the website. I have like an automated chat bot. And my chat bot, I think, just answers frequently asked questions. So it's not an AI. I don't have any AI on my educational platform. Our learning management system is really just a placeholder for courses. It's a placeholder for live sessions that I have. But there's no AI collecting information on our plot. We don't have that. We just don't have that. What we have is what's called SCORM packages. A SCORM package, or SCORM, is basically how you set up modules and courses. It's what instructional designers do. SCORM stands for, I always forget what the acronym stands for. SCORM. My IDs tell me all the time. It stands for Shareable Content Object Reference Model. See why I can't remember it? But anyways, the full meaning that is that it's a technical standard for e-learning content. It tells learning management systems how to package, launch, and track courses so that content created in one system can work into another. A SCORM is what makes an online course basically talk to the LMS. So it's basically a progress tracker. So if you're taking a course and going through the modules, what it does is it tracks your progress, which is nice. Can you imagine getting done with a module and then it doesn't record your progress? So it's not an AI as more as, as a student, you're seeing how you're going along in your course material. They do the same thing with school, right? You have a teacher and the teacher hands out certain tests and then grades you on your homework and your tests. Then they go inside of their notebook and then they write that grade and your test score, and then they put this as a part of what's called your permanent record. Your permanent record is a reflection of how you are doing as a student, but it's also a measuring point to see how you've been doing in your schooling career, right? And you can't mess with those grades, you can't mess with those tests or anything like that. So a SCORM not only organizes the material, but it's there to be a helpful reference. Unlike your permanent record where you can't see how you've progressed over the years, this allows you to see how you're progressing for your own information to know what your strong points and your weak points are. But we don't collect data. I mean, the only data that you have to provide is essentially like an email address and what you want to pay with your membership with. I mean, if you want, pay with a prepaid card. I don't care. Visa does that with Walmart, You see it there. Another question, continue access issues. Oh, Crown. Great to see you, Crown. So, yes, we have an updated schedule. That is, we've done a lot in the background of Creditor Academy. Our live courses are adjusted because I'm now going to be more live, and now it's not going to be a set Tuesday, Thursday schedule. I'm going to be going live more often, Monday through Friday, now continuously, and relying on this new framework. But I'm so glad to see you as always, my friend. I'm glad that you're here. God bless you, free man. Oh, thank you, Jamil. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay. So you guys are doing great, though. You guys are getting the concept here. The matrix is based off to teach you that you need to pay yourself from from basically a paycheck. And a paycheck is what your employer sets at what they think your wage and your hourly salary is going to be, based upon your knowledge and your work expense. The bank is the best employer that you can ever work for. And the reason why is because you tell him what you want to get paid. You tell him what you need, and he'll extend it to you. Have you ever done that with a boss before? You sat down with your boss and you were just like, hey, boss, can I get a little bit of a raise? Can I get a little bit more money? I've been working so hard. Can I get a bonus? You do that with the banker, and they'll extend you the lines of credit, no doubt. No doubt. No problem. And you could go back and ask for more at any time. They can do it any time. And that's what you can do to utilize the future. Like I said, we want to teach you how to be capitalists. A capitalist is someone who uses other people's time, other people's energy, other people's money for your dream. And when you do it in the private, you become what's called a sovereign capitalist. A sovereign capitalist. Let's do this. Have you ever looked up the definition of what sovereign means? Well, first, it means a supreme ruler, an authority, or a power that is independent and not subject to any higher control. God is sovereign, for example. So, when I say at Creditor Academy, we want to help you be a sovereign capitalist. We want you to be the supreme power, authority, and ruler that is independent, not subject to any higher control. And we want you to be a capitalist, which means being able to utilize other people's time and energy, other people's money, in order to support one thing, and that's your dream and your vision. Okay? God had a dream and a vision that he wanted to create man and woman, that he wanted to make earth and the animals and everything that the light touches and separate the day from the night. Right? That was his vision, and it's beautiful, and we get to take advantage of it absolutely every day. And there's a lot of thought and planning that goes into that, but once it's complete, it's beautiful, right? And I want the same for you. I want you to be able to live out your vision and be independent to seek out your vision and put it together to where you see best fit. I'm excited for your journey. The 3 steps, once again, is you need your business trust. They're valid in 180 countries. I don't care what country you live in, anybody can utilize a business trust. Second thing is you need a private merchant account. A private merchant account. We do a private merchant service that's included with your masterclass membership. It's included, okay? The business trust is included. A merchant account is included. And the third thing is you need to optimize your credit profile. This entity needs to be presentable to the banks in order for you to get lines of credit. And that's how you play the game. That's how you become your first steps really into being a sovereign capitalist, because now you're independent, you have no liability, you have your own straw man to utilize, and you've separated it. You could be self-governed. Our private merchant accounts, we do almost every country in the world. So it is super important to make sure of that. Let's make sure of that. And everything that I'm saying is so logical. It's so logical. And it's super powerful because as soon as you really know this truth and get to it, let me tell you, your life changes really fast. And let me tell you, these 3 steps can be completed in a matter of 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's all it takes. The private is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be easy. It's going through the traditional public direction that makes it difficult because you have to follow all their policies and procedures. And their policies and procedures are thousands and thousands of pages long. The private is not. Common law is common to every man. Constitutional law is set in stone, very simple and straightforward. Contract law is the same as well. Truth is sovereign. Basically, it's contract law, common law, and constitutional law. So you don't have to read hundreds of books in order to get this onto your head to know how to do the game. That's what the public side is offering you, and you don't want to do that. Okay, well, I want to thank you all for being here. And I'm excited for us to be able to go through this journey together. Tomorrow, I'm going to be discussing this more. I'm going to go into more detail. I'm going to give you some really great examples. But if you really want to see me every day, you want me to answer your questions, you want me to get involved with your process and what you're doing, and you want me to give you the template, you want me to give you the step-by-step, you want to be involved with the community of people that are doing the 3 steps that I'm just talking about, and you're hearing what I'm telling you, and you're passionate about being a sovereign capitalist, go to www.creditoracademy.com and join the movement. It is a movement. It is a movement. And I'd be excited to bring you in to a group of like-minded individuals and to see you on a daily basis. I'm live every day in my community Monday through Saturday. Monday through Saturday. So I'm motivated. I'm here to bring you from infancy to success. Okay? You can ask, Paul Michael, what do I do next? Well, go to this module, do this recording. Well, I still have questions. Great, I'm right here. What can I help you with? Well, how do I get this EIN? Let me share my screen and show you. I am motivated to get you to the finish line. And the reason why I'm motivated is because as soon as you get your 150 to 250 grand, right? Then I want to do business with you because you're in the private and you got credit like that. Let's go. Let's build an empire. You know, for 250 grand, if there's five of you, that's over $1 million just by doing the simple 3 steps. And there's more than 5 of you that are getting access to your credit all the time at the academy. And I'm here to really show it to you. This is so simple. It's so simple. There's nothing esoteric about what we're teaching here. So I'm really excited about this. So go to www.creditoracademy.com. We have a discount on our membership right now. Warning, it's for a limited time. It's a limited time. It's half off right now on this membership. I had to put a warning label on our website to make everybody aware of that very soon the membership is going to start going up. I'd be super excited to have you guys as part of our community, to see you, to meet you, and all of that. I wish you all the best. I have another class coming up for my master class for the people that are inside the academy, so I have to jump over there. But I'm excited. I look forward to see you guys more on social media. This community is going to grow bigger and bigger all of the time. And let me tell you, be blessed, and I look forward to seeing you in the private.